Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Happy Monday. Happy Move to Millions Monday to be exact. We're just going to give Facebook and Instagram an opportunity to find some folk for us. I'm excited you guys are here. We are going to get this party started on all of the platforms. I am excited to be with you. Hello, 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 hello. Happy Move to Millions Monday. I'm trying to get Clubhouse queued up, and I'm trying to figure out why. Oh, darn it, because I'm in a different time zone, y'all. So it's giving me a hard time. Hold on one second. I got to change the time on, there we go. So now we got Clubhouse joining us. We got some folks on Facebook in the Move to Millions group. We've got some people with us on Instagram. Happy Monday. I'm excited you guys are here. Hey, Dr. Jenna. Hey, Cynthia. Hey, Victoria. How are you? Do me a quick favor and share this out to 3 friends. For those of you who are on Instagram, hit the little plus sign for those of you joining us on Clubhouse. For those of you on Facebook, y'all can't share it because it's inside of the private group. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Jenna. Thank you, Brittany. I'm feeling good. I am in Laguna Niguel, California. Y'all, I can hear the ocean outside of my window, my balcony. I can hear the ocean. So I'm so excited to be with you guys. I'm excited about this trip. I'm here to speak at Brooke Thomas's Live Out Loud event tomorrow. Well, I'm here to attend and speak. I'm looking forward to speaking tomorrow. Listen, okay, this is going to sound real crazy, but I'm going to say it anyway because y'all know I say crazy stuff all the time. I did not know that white people got down for Jesus like this. Can I just say that? Is that okay if I say that? I am so excited for the energy, the Holy Spirit that is in this place. I'm looking forward to wrecking the stage, quite honestly. I'm looking forward to imparting and edifying and equipping and preaching and laying folks out in the spirit. I'm looking forward to all of it. I'm so excited to be here and to be able to share my powerful message that you do not have to choose. You can love God and make boatloads of money, that they are not mutually exclusive. So I'm excited to be here and to be sharing. And so today we're going to talk about the millions messy middle. We're going to talk about that today because I know what's happening in my business and many of my clients. So, you know, before we went all in on the Move to Millions a year ago, I probably had taken about 25 people to the $1 million mark over the last 10 years. The first 4 years of my business don't really count, so we really count from 2011 on, okay? So over the last 10 years, 25 businesses to the $1 million mark. This year, we have 10 clients that are going to do $1 million this year. It's only been a year since we've gone all in on the Move to Millions. And so part of the reason why I wanted to talk about the messy middle is because it can be challenging as you start to up-level your business to figure out how it all works together. All right. So I think we've got enough people here for me to jump in, and I just wanted to kind of lay the foundation about what we're here to talk about today. So let me just tell everybody who I am. I am Dr. Darnyelle Jervey Harmon. I am the CEO of Incredible One Enterprises. We work with 6-figure service-based entrepreneurs, and we help them to make the move to $1 million CEO. So our first mission is to get your business, your systems tightened, your sales infrastructure scaled, and your team, your support team in place so that you can make millions in your business. Our second goal is to actually help you to become a millionaire. Right? I think about the proverb that a wise man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. And that's kind of really what I'm in it for as it pertains to the work that we get to do today. Personally, I have been really, over this last year, we've been going through a rebrand and kind of updating everything as we prepare to scale to 8 figures inside of our company. And I've experienced what I call the millions messy middle, and you might be experiencing it too. And you might be experiencing it even if you're nowhere near the $1 million mark. So what I thought it would be cool is if I laid out some of the success clues that you are in what I'm calling the millions messy middle, and some of the things I want you to begin doing differently if that's where you are, so that you can continue to walk this thing out. Because I believe that God will give you more while you're moving than he ever will if you stand still. Okay, so let's jump in and let's talk about it. Again, welcome to those of you who are with us on Instagram, on Facebook, in our Move to Millions group, and on Clubhouse. My goal is every single Monday, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, to come and help you move to millions. We are sharing the topics that are going to help you to tighten the strategy, systems, support, and sales infrastructure of your company so that you can be $1 million CEO. I believe that if you didn't come from millions, millions ought to come from you. I believe it's your birthright to be at the $1 million mark. If you happen to catch this in the replay, #replay, welcome. We'll see you again on the next Monday. Okay, so the millions messy middle. So let me tell a quick story about myself. I'm gonna make this all about me instead of making it all about you. So as I stated a few minutes ago, my company has we've done 1 to 2 million for like the past forever. It feels like forever, since 2014. That's kind of where we've lived, at 1 to 2 million. Like, we've got $1 million down cold. We can do it in our sleep. And the cool thing about it is we do $1 million with not a lot of clients. So you don't have to have, like, gone are the myths that you got to have hundreds of thousands of clients to cross the $1 million mark, right? It really only takes one $20,000 offer and 50 clients to have $1 million business. We have approximately 50, we're actually somewhere between 50 and 75 clients between our two programs. But our mastermind by itself has $1 million run rate. So just our mastermind, which has 35 people, I think, are in our mastermind. We do $1 million a year just from that program, right? So why I'm telling you this for a couple of reasons, because you might think you're far from the $1 million mark, but you actually are closer than you think. Here's how to know that you have what it takes to have $1 million company. Number one, you solve a real problem. We like to call that problem a SPICE problem. A specific and substantive, pervasive and persistent, immediate, insurmountable, clear, conscious, and contrarian, expensive and expansive problem. If you solve a SPICE problem, a problem that people would willingly give you $10,000 to $30,000 to solve, in whatever container you decide, you could get to the $1 million mark. If you know, just based on the description that I just gave you just now, that the $1 million mark is possible for you, if you're on Instagram or Facebook, put a 1 in the chat. And for those of you who are with me on Clubhouse, raise your hand really quickly. I just want to see who now knows that they could get to the $1 million mark. Like, who does? Okay, I see some hands up on Clubhouse. I'm looking for some 1s on Facebook or on Instagram. I'm looking for some 1s. Okay, I see some 1s. Okay, cool. So the good news is that you could do millions in your company. You just have to solve a real problem. You have to solve a problem that your clients have been unsuccessful at solving on their own. That's it, y'all. And you have to be willing for them to make an investment that is at least 5 figures for you to help them do so. Now, that 5-figure investment doesn't mean you have to be tied to them for the rest of your life. That 5-figure investment could just mean that you're working with them for 3 months. You want to work with them as long as it takes for them to get the transformational experience. However long that takes, that's how long you want to work with them. So if you do that, that means $1 million business is within your reach. Okay. Now, if you can sell your program for $20,000, that makes it even easier, right? Because at $10,000, you need 100 clients in a year. At $20,000, you need 50 clients in a year. At $30,000, you need roughly 35 clients in a year to do $1 million. And I want you to think about how amazing it could be for your business's infrastructure if you could be making $1 million. Your company makes $1 million. Like, you're not going to pay yourself that. But at $1 million, you're probably going to be able to pay yourself $180,000 to $250,000 a year. Pay your team, because you're going to need probably 3 to 5 critical hires in order to be able to truly run your business the way that you want. Right? And those critical hires are going to be an additional $150 to $180 based on what you're going to pay your team. You're going to be able to pay your taxes. You're going to be able to put some money in cash reserve. And Ideally, you're also going to be able to reduce your tax liability while having a company that serves you financially and spiritually. Why am I saying this? Because it doesn't have to be hard to get to the $1 million mark. But let me tell you what is going to be challenging for you. It's not pretty often getting there. We call the messy middle because it is messy. It is not fun. It is when, I remember years ago, I used to always say that you're on the verge of something incredible when your best times are colliding with your worst times. That's the messy middle, right? When you realize that you're growing and you're experiencing massive success, but you're also constantly breaking your business and experiencing massive failure. That's the messy middle. And the messy middle happens as soon as you make the decision to up level and take your business to where it's supposed to be. Here's what I need you to know. Before you were formed in your mother's womb, when God knew you and approved you, at that point in time, he saw millions for you. Now, I personally believe that millions are your birthright. I believe that in order for you to impact the planet the way you were created to impact, in order for you to live the life that you deserve to live because you're a child of the Most High God, and to be able to be the change you want to see on the planet, you need millions to do that. Now, I know some of y'all would call me on it and be like, no, I really could do it with $500,000. You probably could. You probably could. But I'm going to continue to assert that I believe millions are just birthright. And I believe that getting to the $1 million mark doesn't have to be as hard as you've made it to be. And the only way that changes is if you embrace what we call the messy middle. Okay. So I took some notes about all the things that I think happens in the messy middle. And so I'm going to just run some of these down. Here's my note sheet, y'all. I literally wrote them down real quick. I'm at the Ritz-Carlton. I don't know if I said that part. I'm staying at the Ritz-Carlton. It's my first time ever staying at the Ritz-Carlton. I'm on Laguna Beach. I wish I could show y'all, but I would have to take 3 devices all at once out to the balcony for you to see the amazing ocean, the Pacific Ocean. It's just gorgeous. You probably can't even hear it, but let me just tell you, it's giving me so much life. And I'm excited that this gets to be my life because I'm a brown girl from the projects of Wilmington, Delaware. That's where I come from, right? Anywho, I digress. I'm getting sidetracked. All right, so you're in the messy middle when. So as soon as you see yourself, and one of the things that I'm expressing to you about the messy middle, I want you to let's put a 5 in the chat. Let's put a 5 in the chat for Instagram and Facebook, and that's whether you're live with me now or you're listening back to this on the replay. We're going to put a 5 whenever you experience any of these things, because these are the symptoms of the messy middle. If you're with me on Clubhouse, and I just want you to raise your hand, lower your hand, right? As soon as you hear me express one of the things you're currently experiencing, because what I know is that most of you right now are sitting on a $1 million company. That might not be your financial output. You might not be making millions right now, but right now you have the goods to have $1 million company. That's what I know to be true. My job is to be an agitator, a disruptor, to pull you into an environment where you realize that you're undercharging, you're underserving, you're living beneath your potential and your privilege, and you start rising up. You start walking into boldly and fully who you've always been called to be. That's my mission. So number 1, when you're growing and having success, but at the same time, you're breaking your business or you're experiencing massive failure. Quick story. So a couple of months ago, we did a launch in our company. So we do live events. I love live events. Live events is how I made it to the $1 million mark. And so we did a launch a couple of months ago, and it flubbed massively and was successful at the same time. So we had the most people we had ever had registered for this particular event, but we got our wires crossed. And at the same time, actually it wasn't a couple of months ago, it was a year ago. It was in 2020. We got our wires crossed and we did not convert the way that we normally convert from our events. It was then that I realized that we were in the messy middle. I've been saying for more than a year that this company is a 12 million, or actually my first goal was a $10 million company. And then my coach said, no, well, if you're going to do 10 million, you might as well do 12 million, right? You might as well get to $1 million a month. That's why you need a good coach, a coach that can see you better than you can see yourself, that can hold you to your greatness and not let you shrink back. And so we switched our goal to a $12 million company to get to $1 million cash months. So excited. I'm getting my words all jumbled. So when you are experiencing success, but you're also failing really big, you're in the messy middle. Number 2, when you start breaking your business every 6 months or so, what used to work stops working all of a sudden, you're in the messy middle. Has this happened to anyone? You've been doing the same things forever. All of a sudden, the thing you've been doing all along isn't working anymore. That's a sign that you're in the messy middle. That's a sign that you are on the verge of probably your biggest up level possible. Number 3, when you are shifting into your higher vision and you're constantly having to, I'm going to use the word convince, although convince is not the right word, but you're constantly having to convince your team that the vision you hold for your company's next level is the right thing because it scares them. And so they find themselves in this space where they're uncomfortable because the goals and the targets are getting way larger than they're used to them being. You're in the messy middle. Don't forget, when you hear yourself, you're raising your hand if you're on Clubhouse, or for those of you who are with me live or who will watch this replay on Facebook or Instagram, you're putting a 5 in the chat as soon as you hear one of these things. Number 3. Yeah, this is number 3. When you're trying to mediate between the vision that you have and what you're working with right now. When you find yourself trying to mediate, you're like managing. It's like the teeter-totter, right? It's like the tightrope. You're trying to figure out how to be the big vision that you have. But you're also trying to manage who you really are today. Right? When you find yourself constantly struggling between who you know you're supposed to be and who you actually are right now, you're in the messy middle. This is an interesting place to be. We all have been this place where we start to feel like there's something in us that is actually not, I'm going to use the word worthy of whatever it is that we're working towards or whatever it is that we're wanting, right? You're in the messy middle when you're at your point. When your alignment keeps going in and out, it's like there's a massive storm going on and the lights keep flickering. Your alignment keeps flickering. Like there are days when you feel like you're on top of the world and you know exactly who you are. And then there are other days when you feel like the world's on top of you and you're questioning everything. You're in the messy middle, right? Remember, we're putting 5s in the chat when you hear yourself. When you are having months that are your best months ever, followed by months that are your worst months ever, you're in the messy middle. Best months followed by worst months, and it's like that. It's like feast or famine, right? But it's feast or famine for a different reason. It's not because your systems don't work. It's because you keep mediating between the vision and what you're giving. You keep trying to justify and rationalize where you're going based on where you are right now. It's a very dangerous place to be when you know that there's a higher version of yourself available to the world. When you're having challenges trying to find the right team members, when you can't hire to save your life, when the people you're hiring aren't the right fit for the organization, you're in the messy middle. And this is, again, across any level. The messy middle is not just for those of us who are already doing millions or on our way to millions. Because, again, right now you have $1 million company. You just haven't realized it yet because you're not priced right. You're not packaged right. You're not positioned right. You're not leveraging the right promotional strategies on a consistent basis. That's why you're not realizing a company that is serving you at the $1 million mark. But the cool thing about it is that you are, in fact, closer than you think. When your income goes up, but your capacity goes down. Did you guys catch that? You know what I mean by that? So your income goes up. You're having your best months ever, but you find that there's not enough hours in the day to do everything that needs to be done to fulfill all the sales that you're getting. That's when you know you're in the messy middle. Listen, the messy middle can only be resolved by actually first acknowledging that that's where you are. And then second, putting on your big girl panties or your big boy boxers and doing the work that is the undesirable work that must be done to get out of the messy middle. And that is stepping into leadership. See, when you're the only one in your business, you can get to 6 figures and it just be you. They're hiring you. But to get to 7 figures, they're no longer hiring you. They're hiring your company. You become farther and farther removed from your clients and your client processes, the more you intend to scale your company. This is kind of where I am right now. I literally have clients who have been working with me for multiple years, 5 years, 7 years, 10 years. And I now have members of my team who are serving those clients instead of myself. And so as a result of that, I sometimes question my value and my validity. Because when you were your whole business and now your business doesn't need you to serve your clients, you have an identity crisis. That's the messy middle. That's the messy middle, right? At the 6-figure mark, you can experience the messy middle on the way to the $1 million mark, right? At the $1 million mark, you can experience the messy middle on the way to the multiple $1 million mark. Like, it doesn't change. The variables are the same no matter where you are in the process when you understand exactly what it is that's happening here. When you have to start, oh, this one is tough. This one is really tough for me, y'all. Can I keep it real with you? And I just alluded to a little bit, but when you have to remove private access to you from your clients, that's how you know you're in the messy middle. When it's no longer about you being the only savior that your clients will experience. That's the messy middle. When you have to up-level your pricing, where you have to sometimes double your rates. That's the messy middle, right? I remember 2014, which was the year we crossed the $1 million mark for the first time. Prior to that year, our programs were $6,000 and $12,000. So I've always had 2 basic programs that I've run for a year. So we had a 6K program and a 12K program. That year, we doubled. We went from 12,000 to 20,000. 24, 12 and 24 is what we went to. We doubled our prices and tripled our client base. We brought on more than 130 clients at one live event. So when you're up leveling, your experience up levels, what you bring to the table for your clients up level, and the price point up levels, you're going to feel like you're in the messy middle because you're going to start to question whether or not people can actually afford to invest in themselves through you. If you experience this, remember, we're putting a 5 in the chat as soon as you hear yourself and where you are right now in the messy middles, right? If you know you need to continue to increase your prices, but you're choosing not to, or you're questioning whether or not you should, because you feel like if you raise your prices again, you won't have any clients. No one's going to be able to sign up. And that's based on fear. That's based on historical data. That's based on you projecting your clients' checkbooks. All of which happen in the messy middle, but none of which serve you at no point in time inside of your business. And so you're going to have to really shift out of that space and stop counting their pockets and instead focus on the level of transformation that only you can bring to the table. Listen, there's no one like you in the marketplace. There are many who have tried. Honey, you know they've tried. That there are people who have literally stolen all your stuff. Literally try to be you, but they can't be you because there is an anointing on your life, on your processes, on the way that you show up, on your IP, on everything. And so even though they tried to duplicate you, they can't. But see, when you start questioning all of that stuff, that's how you know you're in the messy middle. It's like the version of yourself you've been praying for is coming face to face with the version of yourself that you're afraid to be. Because you feel like if you rise up into that, there's going to be more expected of you. It's like you feel like it's that whole to whom much is given, much is required. And so instead of rising up, you want to shrink back. That's the messy middle. But I'm here to tell you, the only way you get to where it is you want to be is to actually go through. It's the only way to get there. I mean, you could try it if you want, but I promise you, the only way you're going to get there is if you actually go through it. All right, here's another tip or pointer or symptom that you know you're in the messy middle. When you realize you are not your business anymore. Have you guys felt that? My hand is up. I have been struggling. I have been having an identity crisis. I'm so excited. I have an amazing team and we're constantly hiring. We're hiring right now. If you know anybody who's looking for a full-time position, then you can go to Incredible One Enterprises /team right now. We got some open positions at IOE. And all of that does not make me feel any better to know that I'm truly stepping into the CEO. See, some of you are calling yourselves a CEO, but you really aren't. Like, you're not CEOing anything because the E doesn't stand for everything. It stands for executive, right? So you're not really strategically presiding over your business. You're spending too much time working in the business to be working on the business. But it sounds cute to call yourself a CEO, right? Well, in the messy middle, really starting to work on the business begins to happen. And because now you're working on the business, you start to get a little leery of your place in the business because you're not the one creating the transformation. I literally had to ask my clients, because I was in my feelings, y'all. I was feeling some kind of way. I was like, do you guys get transformation and I'm not around? My coach wanted me to do that because I was really struggling with relinquishing control and being the one. Like, I literally, this is me being really transparent. My coach asked me once, she said, when a person hires you or hires your company, who are they hiring? What are they hiring? And I literally was like making the most amazing case as to why they were hiring me. And she said, as she let me get it all the way out, and then she said, I want to suggest to you that they're not hiring you. They're investing in the transformation. And what would it look like if you allowed them to be transformed and you were nowhere around? What would that look like? And I really struggled, y'all, because our ego is tied to our CEO, right? Like, calling ourselves a CEO, more than anything, it's about our ego. And so I really struggled. And I went to my clients and I was like, I just want to know, like, are you guys getting transformation and I'm not anywhere around? And they were all like, yeah. Like, not to say like they didn't need me, but they were all like, we're getting transformation without you being present. And I had a startling realization at that time that I am no longer my business. That my business doesn't require me to thrive. It's exciting to say that, but it is also messy AF to admit that when you want to be the hero or the shero, when you want to be the sole author of the transformation that your clients experience. But I promise you, you won't get to the $1 million mark if it has to be all about you. You're going to have to rise up some leaders. You're going to have to learn how to shine while you help others shine. You're going to have to teach them your processes and your procedures and the way that you want things done so that they can serve your clients just like you're present without you being present, so that you can do the things that they can't do to call your business forward, right? That's the messy middle. Another way that you'll know you're in the messy middle, if you are right now in your business, the majority of your clients are coming through word of mouth and you're not actually launching. And even more, you're not bringing on new clients every single month in your business. You're in the messy middle and you can't scale up to the next level, right? Now, I'm a believer that you grow to 6, you scale to 7 and beyond. So you can get to 6 figures by mistake. You can get to 6 figures. It doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to take long, right? $10,000 clients is a 6-figure company or 6-figure business. Because you are a business at 6 figures. You don't become a company until there's more than just you involved, right? They're hiring you at 6 figures. They're hiring your company as you continue to progress beyond the 6-figure mark. But once you realize that you can actually not move your business forward completely on your own, which means that you move away from just getting lots of business through referrals. I have so many clients who are like, yeah, I don't even really market. My clients just send me clients. Oh, that's so cute. But you're not a real company. You are in the messy middle. You haven't actually tightened the process and the infrastructure that's going to take you to the next level of your business, when you can do it just through word of mouth and referrals. Now, word of mouth and referrals should always be a strong source for your business and moving your business forward. But it shouldn't be the only source. Not if you want to sustain your business at and beyond the $1 million mark. So those are some of the ways that I've realized that we could be in the messy middle. Again, personally, we're working through our messy middle right now as we're progressing to the 8-figure mark. So we're going to do about 2.5 this year. That's where we've been. Like, I think about, what was that movie? Hitch. And the point where, I can't think of the white guy's name right now. Kevin James, does that sound right? Anyway, so he wants to dance and he's doing all the world. And Will Smith is like, here, you live here, right? Like, we've lived here. We've lived between 1 million and like 2.5 for however many years, since 2014, 7 years. And now we're scaling up beyond that, right? So this is going to be our last year on the low end of 7 figures, and we're going to continue to progress next year. You know, we're going to really massively jump. We're going to double our business next year. Only reason I can say that is because I've been working through my messy middle, because I've been going through the process of hiring. I've been eliminating the need for me to be the only one inside of my business. I've been getting rid of all of that. That's the only reason why I know how we're going to set our business up and what we're going to be able to do in the next year and in the next 3 years, ultimately, because we have a 3-year plan to get to $1 million a month in cash revenue inside of the company, right? That's another indication that you're in the messy middle, when you can't achieve your goals in 1 year. Because you need to look at, there's 4 areas of your business that you need to tighten. You need a very clear strategy. You need a very succinct, sustainable, and scalable sales infrastructure. You need the right systems, and you need the right support team. And it can take time to bring the right people on your team. We have kissed a lot of frogs over the years to get to the princes that we now have that are a part of our team. And we're still looking for princes, right? But it can take time to actually get to where it is that you truly desire to be inside of your business. But this messy middle doesn't have to be I was going to say the death of you, but I don't really want to put that out there on anybody. It doesn't have to be as hard as it has been historically, but it is going to require that you do some things differently. So now let's start to talk about what needs to change to make it through your messy middle. Number 1, you've got to acknowledge where you are. You've got to acknowledge it. You've got to take complete and utter ownership for where you are. Call it the messy middle. Give yourself permission to work through it and start moving in the direction. I believe God will give you more while you're moving than he ever will if you stand still. And so if you just keep standing still, you're going to continue to miss your opportunity to get to where it is that you truly want to be inside of your business, right? So that's the first step, is you have to acknowledge. Second thing you have to do is you have to get clear on what happens on both sides of the messy middle. So what are the things that have gone well here? I love to do a SWOT analysis here. You know, what are the things that have gone really, really well on this side? How do we fix that problem as we continue to grow? Because you will break your business every 6 minutes or so when you're in the messy middle. 6 months. Every 6 months or so when you're in the messy middle, you will break your business. Something will happen to throw everything off. And because that thing happens, it actually is doing you a service so that you know exactly what it is that you need to fix. I was just having a conversation with a client who was talking about an expensive lesson that they've been learning over the last 6 months or so, right? And what I loved their perspective was, I'm so glad to be learning this lesson at this level of my business versus learning it later when the stakes would have been way higher and would have cost me way more, right? So that's what happens when you evaluate where you are now, your strengths, what's going well, with your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats on both sides, right? In order for you, you have to vision cast. In order for you to get to your next monthly milestone marker, right? You're going to have to evaluate what's going to need to adjust to be able to make that happen. Now, you need to know that most decisions, financial decisions, numbers decisions, can be resolved with a $5 calculator. I literally was doing this for a client today, like running numbers to give them an idea of how many sales they needed to get in this specific offer that they wanted to launch and start to run a monthly campaign around, how many sales they would need to get to be able to make it happen, right? Any of us could do that. But the reason why some of us get stuck in the messy middle and some of us actually move beyond and see the success of it is the amount of work we do once as we're entering and how we're working through it. Which brings me to number 3. You have to consistently show up. You have to show up fully. You have to show up not as a victim or as if something is happening to you. You have to show up as a victor, like you've already been given the answer to get to the other side. I believe that God had the answer before you had the problem. And when you're consistently seeking him, because honestly, he should really be the CEO of your company, everything really begins to change from that standpoint. Number 4, you're going to have to evaluate what your procedures are and what in your procedures will no longer work at the next level. You all know what your next level looks like. You know exactly what it's going to take to be able to make it happen, to take your business to the next level. You're very clear on that. So stop acting like you don't know as you think about what you're doing day in and day out inside of your company. Once you have an understanding of what it's going to take to be able to get there, everything really does begin to change. And last but certainly not least, you're going to have to step into being a leader. No one is coming to save you. You can't hire someone to save your business. You can hire advisors, you can hire tacticians, but you are the only one who can guide and direct your business to your next level, because it is you that the vision has been stewarded to. It is you that has been given the provision for the vision. It is you that know exactly what is required for you to realize the next level. And so you're going to have to step up, step fully into leadership. It's not going to be fun. I'm sorry, but it's not. There are many things that are sunshine and rainbows inside of your business. The messy middle is not one of them. It ain't pretty, y'all. But I promise you, if you own the steps in the process, when you get to the other side, things will actually go completely different. There's also going to be a lot of questioning of who you are at every stage of the messy middle. You'll question your relevance. You'll question the price points, your investment levels. You'll question whether or not you can actually do it. You'll question everything. Like, that's a sign that you're in the messy middle. If you're constantly questioning either processes or people or yourself as the point person to steward the vision for your company, that is a clue that you're in this messy middle. And the only way to get to the other side is to go through it. It's the only thing that's going to change. Whew, I feel like I said a mouthful. Unfortunately, because I'm on the road, I don't think I'm going to be able to get a good signal to bring Fred, our client success coach, in to everyone. So what I would love to be able to do before we end, if for those of you who are with us on Facebook, or those of you who are with us on Instagram, if you have a question, on Instagram, you can use the little question feature. I'd love to take a question. If on Facebook, you can type a question in the chat. I'd love to just see if there's a question or two before we drop off of Facebook and Instagram. You're welcome to come and join us on Clubhouse to interact a little bit more, because we will take a couple of questions if there are questions. Those of you who are with us on Clubhouse right now, if you have a question, you can go ahead and raise your hand, and we'll prepare to bring you up to the stage, and we'll get to hear from the Fred Wingate as well. But if there is a question or two for those of you who are with us on Instagram or on Facebook, I'd love to be able to take a question too. Just on the messy middle, like, how do you navigate this? How do you How do you stay when all you want to do is curl up in a ball? There are some days, y'all. There are some days when I'm just like, Lord. So if you have a question, I'd love to take some questions, Facebook and Instagram. If you have a question about anything that we shared about the messy middle. Again, for those of you who may watch this back in the replay, #replay. And let us know where you are in your messy middle and which of these particular things that we've talked about are actually happening for you inside of your business right now. All right, looks like we don't have any questions on Facebook or on Instagram, so we're going to say goodbye to IG and Facebook, and then we'll continue the conversation over on Clubhouse. If you guys want to pop on over to Clubhouse, if you have a question, we'll be happy to take so. But I want to thank you for allowing me to share the messy middle. And this is just like probably part one of the conversation, because there's so much more conversation we can have. But I want to thank you guys for hanging out with us. We'll see you again on our next Move to Millions Monday. Until then, remember, if you didn't come from millions, oh, look, we just got a question as I was about to say goodbye. Okay, how do you monitor fidelity of your model when expanding your team? That is a great question. I guess Maya. Hopefully I pronounced your name correctly. Maya, that's a great question. So there's a couple of things you can put in place, right? So when you're going through the hiring process, the adage is be slow to hire and fast to fire. So you want to put a hiring process together that really allows you to fully evaluate your prospective team members. Okay? Now, there's a couple things I highly recommend. Number one, check references, especially if those team members are going to be interacting directly with your clients. So you want to check references, do a background check, take them through a series of steps in the interviewing process. Our interviewing process has 5 phases to it. I think about when Fred was joining the team. He was like, man, this is taking forever. But we have like 5 things that happen in our interview process so that we can validate as best as we possibly can, right? That the people we are hiring are people that we can entrust with the brand that we've been building. So you want to make sure also once they get hired, you have things that you put in place, Maya, to validate that they are showing up. The first 90 days, I recommend that you do a 90-day probationary period. And that, like, if you're giving them benefits and specific things, they don't get benefits on day 1. They get benefits after 90 days of validating that they belong and have been a good part of the team, helping you to achieve your goals and objectives. So I recommend that you do some of those things and put those things in place to make sure that the energy that you are expending on bringing a person onto the team is going to be for the total benefit of the team. Great, great question. I want to just check one more time. Any other questions? Looks like Facebook is almost completely dropped off. So we're going to say bye to Facebook. Bye, Facebook. We'll see you next time. Take